Guys, this is going to be a recording of my notes. So again, if it is erratic, please forgive me, but I write when God speaks to me so that I don't forget it, and then I record so that I have it in more than one place, and so I can share it with you guys. All right. So now, when God confronts Adam, and Adam says, I heard your voice in the garden and hid because I was afraid. Fear had entered into the relationship, making things hidden had also come into the relationship. Boundaries and barriers had came into the relationship between God and Adam because they hid amongst the trees of the garden. And God said to Adam, who told you that you are naked? Have you eaten from the tree I told you not to eat of? This part right here opens a world. Why would God say, who told you that you were naked? Which hints to an association between being told something and eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. There are many hints within the Word of God where if you are brave enough to go down the paths that have been predestined for us, you come upon deeper parts of the story. And with this, who told you? In order for Eve to have eaten from the tree, a conversation, an opposing conversation, had to take place. And God knew that by them hiding and him having to look for them, even though he knew where they were, but it wasn't like it used to be. And the Bible doesn't mention how much time had passed between them eating from the tree and God walking in the cool of day. So I feel, and I could be wrong, and God is the ultimate corrector, and he is free to correct me on this. But I feel that there is a big hint between who told you that you are naked and then him saying, have you eaten from the tree I told you not to eat of it? Because why would God question them being told something? So, when God gives out the curses, he says that the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent shall be against each other. So obviously, both the woman and the serpent would have offspring, and their offspring would be at war. War had already taken place in the heavens with the celestial angelic beings. Now man was being pulled into that war, and God's enemies had become man's enemies. So then we go into how the fallen ones mated with the women and begot children. God already knew that the serpent would have offspring, and he cursed them. He put the woman's seed above the serpent's seed again. Because when Adam and Eve were placed in the garden, they already had dominion over all. And through sin, they fell. But God said, they will still outrank you. The devil wanted to taint the seed of the woman, alter it, make alterations. So that he could stop the Redeemer from coming, and also so that he would have rights to rule through his children upon the earth that were and are half-breeds. See, when you read the fine print on the birthright contract, it does not say half-breed. It says earth belongs to Eve and Adam, or Adam and Eve and their descendants. Half-breeds really have no rights here, and they know this. That's how come they continue to lie and trick and cheat. So he knew that by teaching them the secrets, meaning teaching his children the secrets, he knew that they would have an unfair advantage over the seeds of Eve, but God. And he took over Cain and made Cain kill Abel, because he saw that God favored Abel. And he knew that Cain had his nature. And so he tempted him, and he fell, and was sent out of the presence of God. 2 Peter 2, 4 and 5 talks about being cast down into Tartarus and delivered into chains of darkness, which is also spoken about in Job, when Leviathan is brought up. Tartarus is as far below the earth as the earth is from heaven, and it's very dark. So the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and after, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and has children by them. If they were around before the flood and after, and the only way is by the sons of God, also known as the angels, fallen angels, mating with women and having children, as in the days of Noah, this will happen again. The other day I was speaking with my sister about a movie and a TV show. The TV show is one of my favorites. It's called American Horror Stories. And the movie, not so much my favorite. But I was explaining how the TV show went into the movie and showed me some things about the movie that I was not aware of. The movie is called Rosemary's Baby. Both my sister and I feel as though that movie wasn't just a movie, but it was a true story, and they that participated in the filming, making, acting of that movie. Some of them knew and some didn't, but they were doing a ritual. And I have been trying to find that movie so that I can watch it and see what I get from it. So I did find it and I watched it yesterday. And it's absolutely frightening. The movie is so scary. The reason it is so scary is because this girl that is innocent marries this man, and for some reason they want to move into this building. Well, they get it from a woman that died, and her son leaves the stuff there. And from the beginning, it's all very strange. Like, the building is strange, the husband is strange, the girl in the laundry room is strange, the pendant around the neck is strange, the herbs in the apartment is strange, the neighbor with the blue eyeshadow is strange, her and her husband's relationship is strange, the tenants in the building is strange, everything is off. And the girl is so innocent, so she talks, she tells. And she tells how her and her husband want to have a baby. And her husband is an actor. And he seems frustrated. He's frustrated. Never tells you why he's frustrated, but he just seems frustrated. And when you are of a certain age and you pay bills and you take care of things, you pick up that the husband is frustrated because his career is not going the way that he wants it to go. So they meet their neighbors, and the neighbors invite them over, and they want to cook for them. They want to be friends with them. And this is after the girl that they picked up off of the street threw herself down to the street to kill herself. And I believe that she did that because she figured out that they had impregnated her with a half-breed baby. And the only way that she knew that she could get away was death. Because when Rosemary meets the girl in the laundry room, she's saying how nice and lovely the neighbors are and how wonderful they are. And she gives little insight into, oh, you bought the old lady's place with the herbs. And then she says that her and the other lady were really, really close, and that the other lady used to get the herbs from that lady, but something happened and she was no longer providing the herbs to that woman. So before, when they are looking at the apartment, and they didn't even take the lady's belongings out for them to look at the apartment, Rosemary sees a note, and it says, I am done with all of them, or something along those lines. And she just memorizes, this note. And so she's getting information from the girl in the basement in the laundry room, and something breaks in the laundry room and it causes them to jump and be scared. And so the girl says to her, let's make a pack and let's come down here and we can do our laundry together, because this place is really creepy. And Rosemary says, oh, what's that smell? And she goes, oh, it's my necklace, and, isn't it beautiful? Look at it. The old lady gave it to me, and it's filled with, and she says the name of the herb. And she goes, it stinks, doesn't it? And Rosemary says, yes, it smells really bad. And she says, well, it's supposed to bring me good luck. It's supposed to bring me good luck, right? And so fast forward back to where I was. So after this girl dies, right, or she kills herself, it's never really known what happened to her. All you know is that she landed on the street, killed herself somehow, or was murdered somehow. when Rosemary and her husband go to the neighbors to eat, the next day the old lady brings another old lady, and they kind of, rush their way into Rosemary's apartment, and she wants to thank her, and she gives her this charm. And Rosemary knows that it's the same charm that was on the other girl's neck, but she doesn't say anything. She takes it, but she doesn't put it on. And the old lady is very insistent, put it on, put it on, put it on. And she's just like, no, I'm gonna have to talk to my husband about this, okay? Like, just kind of like, back off, lady. Right? And so then the next thing you know is that the old lady is like fixing her food and bringing her food, and, oh, I just want you to try this, and, hey, when you run down here, can you pick this up for me, and la 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 la. So somehow the husband seems to get in really good with these older people, and he really likes the old man, right? So he says he's going to go over to their apartment, but Rosemary doesn't have to come. And all of a sudden, the husband starts getting more and more work. So the old lady brings over dessert, and the husband is really insistent that Rosemary eats it. And so Rosemary takes a few bites, and she goes, there's an aftertaste. And, the husband is like, well, you don't want to insult the old lady, just eat it. Just eat it. You don't want to insult her. And so Rosemary is like, okay. And she's really clever at how she deals with pushy people. She doesn't really fight them back, but she doesn't do what they want her to do either. So she asks the husband if he can go and do something for her. And he goes to do it, and she puts it's a chocolate pudding. She puts it in the napkin, and then when he comes back, she's like, wow, look, it's gone. And so he's like, very good. And he's like, mine tastes amazing. He's like, maybe your taste buds are just off. So then she starts doing, the wifely duties, like cleaning up after the dinner, all this other stuff. And then when she's cleaning up, the husband's kind of there talking to her, but he's watching her, intently. And so she starts getting dizzy. So of course he's there to catch her, and he's like, what's the matter, babe? And she's like, I don't know. Maybe it's the wine. I don't know. I'm dizzy. Because that's how women talked back then, right? Just really breathy and like a little girl, and I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm just really dizzy. Like, yeah, you are. You're really dizzy because you trust in the wrong freaking people. Your husband included, lady. So then he takes her to the bed, and she's like, hallucinating because they drugged her. They freaking drugged her. But she didn't eat all of it, so she's aware of what is going on. So all of a sudden, their bedroom is full of all these old people, butt naked, talking to each other, singing songs, playing weird instruments, and they're all looking at her like, oh yeah, you're feeling it, aren't you? They're like taking her clothes off and stuff, and her husband is there, and he's like, hey honey, it's okay, it's all right. So she doesn't know if she's dreaming or some weirdo crap is going on, but you as a viewer, you kind of feel like you took whatever the hell she took in the chocolate pudding, right? This is why I don't like pudding. Okay, I never liked it as a kid, and I don't like it now. I'm not going to eat the chocolate pudding, okay? I don't want no pudding pops. So she's just floating on the sea. She's seeing, like, them on a boat. She's asking her husband, like, why are the neighbors here? Who's that person over there in the corner? And he's just like, oh, hush, honey, it's okay. You just had too much wine. Go to sleep, sleep, sleep. And then all of a sudden, this hairy beast-like thing enters the equation and starts scratching up her naked body. putting these weird symbols on her naked body, and um you just see the eyes, and then like you kind of see like this weird silhouette, but that some kind of act is going on, against her will. So then like she hones in on the eyes, and she goes, ah, this is real, this is real. And she goes, this isn't a dream, this is real. And next thing you know, like her husband is pushing on her in the morning, and he's like, wake up, it's time to go. So she kind of gets up, and, she looks at her body, and her body's all marked up. And her husband is like, hey, last night was great. Like, I got to try out some of my necro fantasies. What? And here she goes with her little baby voice. Oh, well, I mean, we could have done it this morning. I was really out of it last night. Oh, so that was you? I thought it was a dream. You know what the hell happened to you. So what? I guess I'm a different kind of girl. I'm just different, because I would have been asking him all kinds of questions. What you mean about necro fantasies? You have fantasies about sleeping with dead people? How do you know you like this? When did you figure this out? Where have you seen this? I mean, I got questions, homie. All right? Deep questions. We're not just going to glaze over it with my baby voice. And then the husband is like, I got a little carried away, so that's why you got the marks on your body. And he was like, it was really hot, by the way. What? And she's just sitting there with the sheet over her, over the front of her, and you see all the markings on her back and shoulder and crap. Then the next thing, she's pregnant. And of course, the nosy neighbors are like, hey, we know so-and-so, the best, gynecologist in the world. He's going to be your doctor. So then she goes to this gynecologist, and he's telling her not to take any pills, not to do this, not to do that. And he wants her to take the herbal vitamin shakes made by the crazy lady with the blue eyeshadow that lives next door, the one that drugged her with the chocolate pudding. So she's drinking her herbal concoctions and crap, but like she's having these pains in her stomach, right? And so the pains aren't going away. She looks like crap. Like the old landlord comes to visit them, and she's like, I'm pregnant. And he's like, you look horrible, Rosemary. The only voice of reason in the whole movie. He's like, you look horrible. And she's like, I thought I did, but everybody keeps telling me I'm so beautiful. And then so he is just like, because that's what wise men do in the 60s. They just walk around with their hands in their pockets going, None of that seems to make sense. So the neighbor guy comes over, and he's like, you okay, Rosemary? Who's this? So then, of course, he takes the guy's jacket, by mistake as he leaves, right? And they perform a spell on the guy. So the guy goes, and he wants to tell Rosemary what he found out about the building, about the people that live there, but he's in a coma in the hospital, right? And so Rosemary is like kind of starting to figure it out, but still not really. And she goes to the guy's funeral. She meets the guy's girlfriend or whatever, and then she's like, oh, hey, right before he died, he came to, and he was screaming about, make sure we give you this book. So then she gives Rosemary the book, right? And see, even that is blasphemous, because Mary in the Bible is the name of the mother of Jesus. And then here's Rosemary. and you know, she's birthing the devil's baby. Um, so anyways, long story short, she gets this book and it's on the history of the witches that she's living with, right? And so she figures it out. She starts freaking out. Um, and then, you know, long story short, she gives birth to the devil's baby. And the end of the movie, you know, it's the devil's baby because he has the same eyes as the thing that raped her that night, or you know, who knows, maybe it was her husband, since he's into necromancy and all this other stuff, right? So at the end of the movie, it's almost like, well, it is like she takes on the role of being the mother, um, and because of how she deals with things, she doesn't really confront them. She just kind of works around it. So that's what you get from that. Um, so yeah, that's basically that. So that was a very interesting movie to watch or to rewatch at this stage in the game because, you know, stuff like that is real and it is happening, and you know, bringing half breeds back into the world, as in the days of Noah, I believe is definitely going to be a thing, and it's definitely going to be happening. Might not be as sinister as, you know, Rosemary's Baby, but it just depends on which fallen angel you get, you know, because all of them are different. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm saying all this to say that those things just didn't happen before the flood. I believe, but I could be wrong, okay? But why did David have to fight Goliath? You know, where did Goliath come from? Also, Sodom and Gomorrah had to be destroyed. Why did they want to sleep with the angels? You know, and why did Lot protect them? So it's just a lot of things that make you go, you know, and God will give us the complete answers. I listened to a very wise gentleman the other day, and he was talking about how angels would not do that again, and he was saying because the punishment was so great, and he had some really good points, but he still couldn't explain Sodom and Gomorrah and Goliath and Og and the others, you know, that were around. Oh, yes, he did. He tried to explain it by saying it had to be one of the wives that got on the ark. But when you read one of the sacred books, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but I read it, it gives you the name and where Noah got the wives from for himself, his wife, as well as for his sons, and they came from his family line. So no, it's a no. Okay. Let me see here. So yeah, they wanted to sleep with the angels, the fallen. Well, they wanted to sleep with the angels, but a lot of the lewd acts in sex today, it comes from the fallen ones. Like, many like to talk about sex magic as a way to gain things, and it's an evil practice. It's definitely not a holy one. Do not eat the cakes of light, okay? They are not cakes of life. They are a recipe of things that were given to Cain, and I'll put it that way. They are more like cakes of death and darkness. But do you know that there are people out here making these cakes and they're eating them? Oh. Hence why I don't eat stuff that people always be offering. No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. I know you like to bake, Becky, but I'm not going to eat it. Thanks. It's a no. No, I'm not coming to the cookout. Nope. Nope. Mm-mm. Nope. I'm not coming to the potluck either. I don't care how good Martha's, chocolate fondue dip is. I'm never tasting it. Okay. It's a no. So there are places where these places meet. Okay, so the Tower of Babel, it was in a place that could ascend into heaven, and there are mountains that descend into the lower places of the earth and beyond. So then I got a new name for mermaids, and I'm going to look into that. Gilgal Raphaim. It has 5 circles, all right, and 20-ton stones that are only visible from above. And it's mentioned in Genesis 14:5, John 12:4, and 1 Chronicles 6:71. So then I was led into the Mesopotamia story of the garden, and it was really interesting, so I wrote it down. So the relocation of a tree and stones. So during the flood, it changed the location of the Mesu tree as well as and the El Misu stone in the context of sending the sage down to Apsu. The garden with trees and precious stones in the second dream is comparable to the garden in the hero's journey in the Epic of Gilgamesh, with the trees bearing jewels and precious stones. If you listened to my last video, you should know that why I find that interesting. So, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. The last thing I'm going to say is, why was Paul worried about the women tempting the angels by not covering their hair if tempting angels only happened one time? Why would Paul write about it and give a warning about wearing a covering, wear covering so that you don't tempt the angels? Just things to think about. Oh, that's not the last one. So Solomon's Quarry basically is tunnels under the temple, and it was built by David. And there are some that are saying that the Ark of the Covenant is there. I would love to see it. So there's this guy by the name of Zosimus of Panonopolis, and he believed that alchemy, chemistry, and calculus, also metallurgy or metallurgy, that it came from the fallen ones that were lusting after the human women. He wrote books, and one of his books is extremely hard to find, and it has many names, but one of the names is known as the Lesser Key of Zosimus, or the Key of Mercy and Wisdom, in which he talks about a white elixir and a red elixir that brings immortality by turning copper into silver and another metal into gold. And there are pictures, it's in Arabic, and he believed that Toph was Adam. I haven't heard that from anybody, so I find him rather interesting, and I am looking very hard for his book that was in Arabic, based on alchemy. But it doesn't seem to be any copies anywhere, but I know that that cannot be true, because if they know the name of it, there is a copy somewhere. I just have to get access to it. All right. Love you. Later.